that was an eye-opening, like for me. Like life is much more than what we make of it.
Mindfulness focuses on silence, on going in,
Right.
whereas knowledge mindfulness is about the synchronizing of music, of song. And when you talk about blockage, we call it the knowledge scars that we have.
I love that. I think space is very important. And when people are ready for it, they will come.
When do you think people, are ready for something? I mean, what triggers that readiness? Welcome, really. We're so delighted to have you here
I
today.
am so excited to meet you, finally.
Oh,
Andrea,
that's
thank you so much
wonderful.
for having me.
Oh, I'm so impressed with your career path, Ghalia. I'm so impressed.
Thank you so much.
It was like,
Yeah.
wow, what a journey. It
Yeah.
still is a
And
great journey.
I still can't believe it was my career path, looking back.
Wow.
It's
I mean, communication director, chef, entrepreneur with a restaurant, healer.
yeah.
I mean, what not? It's
Yeah.
just amazing. That's, I don't know even where to start.
Okay, now I'm blushing.
No, it's true,
Yeah.
really. And I just feel kind of we're so aligned in many of the
True.
things that you're doing. I don't know. I see you doing all that on the visible level. And I'm doing that on the invisible level in many ways. I was so relating to so many things that, I was reading about you. But I think I would love to start with communication director. I mean, that word, communication, is wow for me. So tell me more about that.
When I train on comms, the first thing I tell my not students, my clients, is that we are natural born communicators. We're born to communicate. We're born from the minute we come to this world, we communicate by crying, by just, and as you go through life, this is what you do. So the communications field, it just puts structure into that natural ability to communicate. And if people think about it this way, and that's why as a communications professional working with clients, everyone has a say, even if they don't study communications, if they're not in the communications field, they always have a say because they're natural, they're human beings,
Right.
They are natural born communicators, so they need to interfere in your work. So I started out as a journalist back in 92. When I graduated, I always loved to be a journalist. But then, journalism in a country like Jordan, there's not enough opportunities for me to grow in that field. And then my career just organically started to evolve. And it's really surprising now thinking about it. I never had to apply for a job per se. I was just taken, like invisible hand was taking me from one, interview, from one opportunity to the other. And until I started working with a German organization that wanted to introduce the concept of liberalism in Jordan, when Jordan was going through an openness economically. And they hired me to manage this very small foundation. And to a great extent, it was all communications. It was all about how to communicate with members, how to communicate with entrepreneurs, how to, until I was approached by another, the European Union and so forth, so it just happened so organically.
You were talking about communication as a natural inclination of a human being. In your 25 years of expertise in communication, have things changed?
Absolutely. Yeah, come to think about it. Now it became, of course, with social media and the digital world, and, the world has become much smaller and everyone has become a journalist or a reporter in their own way. So things absolutely changed. In the past, we used to communicate one-way communication. It was only through a press release. You always had the power to share information.
So how challenging is your work right now?
In the past, it was all about teaching writing and content. And now it's about teaching how you react to what people say, how you open, how you listen. So you integrate a lot of soft skills in the communications field. It's no longer about how to do. Everyone knows how to write. Now with AI even, I mean, everyone can write a press release. Everyone can write a social media post. Everyone can design a social media post. But it only takes a special person to know how to listen, how to react, how to converse, how to bring people to your side, how to align, so it definitely, I mean, now you mentioned it really has changed a lot. Yeah,
I feel it's more complex right
it's
now.
much more complex. Yeah, much more complex. It takes a lot of I don't know how to explain it, soft power, soft skill, to be able to feel the pulse, to understand when to step in, when to take a step back.
So what about those soft skills that you're building right now? Can you mention some of them?
You'll be surprised. I mean, now, I mean, in the past, it was all about, how to communicate, how to present, how to react to crisis. Now it's all about how to perceive a difficult situation and not take it personally. As simple as that. I was working in Doha last year for a client, very complex government client, very difficult client. I mean, they were amazing. The team was great, but then it was a very difficult task, and I was tasked to run the project, to help them set up the communications department. And I don't know, something told me throughout my working with them that these people don't need to learn how to write a communication strategy. They can learn that from AI. They can easily go online and just learn that. And I, with the help of an amazing friend, we worked on creating a training program called based on the book. I don't know if you know the book, The Four Agreements. Mm-hmm. You know the Four Agreements. Yes. Very simple, very, very simple, but then very powerful. They're based on 4 simple principles that don't take anything personally. So it's never about you. Don't assume. We all make assumptions, and assumptions always cause problems. I mean, they make you, force you to draw conclusions that are unnecessary for a certain, and they waste time, basically. Always do your best. Even if you're sick, even if you're not feeling well, your best is always your best. So always do your best. And the last one is be impeccable with your word. And it's not only about yourself, about others, also about yourself. I mean, be conscious of what you say to yourself. I can't do this. This is very difficult. So we always put, obstacles against achieving things. And they loved it. Some of them were like, they only said, Ghalia, I can only come here for like half an hour. And they stuck around for like the whole 4 hours of training. It was amazing.
That's wonderful.
It was very fulfilling.
That is wonderful. Many of the things you said kind of aligns with knowledge mindfulness capabilities that we are advocating. And it's so much designed for a very foundational change that we are embracing right now in the world. I don't even think it's as soft as we think, because now these are the competencies we need, and we call them meta competencies because they need to be together. Yeah. They need to really kind of come together. I'm very curious about that time in your life where you decided to just jump into wellness, health, coaching. I mean, how did this happen?
It was a journey. It started way before, started 20 years ago when I started thinking about wellness, when both my parents were diagnosed with cancer. Both of them were diagnosed around the same week. And then my mother passed away 4 months after that at the age of 56. Sorry. And that was an eye-opening, for me. Life is much more than what we make of it. It's much more than this, and we really owe it to ourselves, because I was working under very difficult circumstances at the time. I was working for the Queen Rania. And we were working day in, day out. You have to be alert all the time. You're on call. And I was young. I was in my early 30s. So I really wanted to prove myself. And when this happened to my family, I was like, no. Life is much more than this. We need to really take care of ourselves. So I started reading. Up until reading and taking care of myself and exercising, but then seriously, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, when things are meant to happen, I was working at a PR agency and checking my Facebook, and I saw this ad for a raw food training course that was taking place in Bali. And all of a sudden, I just signed up and I went. That year, 2014. And that year was the year that I changed the way I eat. I completely became like vegan, taking care of my health. I don't know what happened. When things are meant to happen, they just happen effortlessly for you. You just don't, you feel like you're guided somehow. And around the same time, I met my business partner, who was working with me at the time at this PR agency, and we decided to open a restaurant. As simple as that.
Way.
So we started Little Earth in 2017. And I decided, okay, it's about time for me now to take a step back. I changed my status to a consultant, and I started the restaurant with him. And then COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, I was really happy. I was one of the very few people who were actually happy.
Too. It makes two of us.
I was so happy because I really needed that quiet. I needed to calm down, to reflect, to think, to put structure to everything that I've been doing in my life. That was before I actually turned 50. And it was a year before I turned 50. And I was like, okay, now I know what I want to do. I mean, I want to help, and I want to be, available for those who need help, especially women who are going through, corporate women, who have gone through the same difficulties that I've gone through. So I got my certification during COVID, and I specialized in hormone health. And and then the restaurant, again, I mean, we couldn't keep it, so we had to shut down, and now we deliver with a partner. But now I do this on the side. I actually do health coaching for my colleagues at work. And one of my dreams is to integrate it into corporate environment. I mean, this is what we need to do. We need to take care of our employees so that they can be healthy, productive, I
want to just go back to something you said, that sometimes you feel you're guided. I think through the lens of knowledge mindfulness, we call that a different dimension of knowing. Because, of course, in our linear, traditional way of learning all our lives, we kind of always focus on one way of learning. And in today's complex world, I think it's really very important to be conscious and aware that there are other dimensions of knowing that we neglected for so long. And maybe one of them is what you just mentioned, is when do you feel that sense that you need to do something and you don't know how to explain it?
Yeah.
You're right. It's like something is talking to you, someone is talking to you about yourself, your inner self is telling
your intuition.
Yeah.
Your intuition.
Exactly. It's part of that.
And you get like hints. I think you get messages along the way. And you just need to listen. You need to be aware of them.
But that takes me to communication. We never learned how to communicate clearly with ourselves, right?
True.
And I never thought about it till, like you said, the COVID days. And I was thinking, oh my God, did I ever listen to my body? Did I ever listen to my emotions? Did I ever listen to that voice that I don't know where it's coming, but it told me in 2022, Laila, it's time to resign from the university. That voice that guided you and you don't know.
Right.
And I never knew why. Everyone was astonished, but it's a dimension of knowing, right?
True.
And I don't know, I think maybe that's kind of a big message right now, is how do we reshift our focus to dimensions of knowing that we didn't for so long? That also brings me to that power of energy that you were talking about. So you also work as a healer. Right?
I call myself healing practitioner because at the
what
end
does
of the day,
that
we
mean?
don't
What
heal.
do you do? What do you do?
So
Tell us.
when my dad was sick, one of my friends was doing pranic healing, and pranic healing is called prana is life force energy, using energy to balance your energy centers, and we call them chakras, from the crown all the way to the root basic chakra that helps us stay grounded. So he said to me when he was healing my dad and he was working with him, and he said, you need to learn this. When you go back to Dubai, this is where the school that can teach you this. So I came, and the first thing I did, 2012, is take the courses. And I did like two years of pranic healing. And what I love about it is that it just gives you awareness of your energy body. I always tell people when I talk to them about energy is that, we take a shower every day, because we don't want to rot. We don't want to, we know that if we don't brush our teeth, we don't take a shower, then we're going to be dirty. But then we don't know that this is exactly the same that happens to our energy body. If you don't take care of it, it's going to actually rot. And so energy healing prayer is a form of energy healing. Reading Quran or any religious mantra is also a form of energy cleansing. So pranic healing looks at all your energy centers, from your crown chakra, and that takes care of your brain and your, cognitive function, all the way to your basic chakra. And we are taught to cleanse, scan, see where the imbalances are, where the blocks are, and then with the help of God and the help of the actual patient as well, or the client or the friend you're healing, they have to have a say in whatever happens to them. They heal themselves. We're only the tool that basically learn the technique.
What do you feel when something is blocked? What do you feel as a healer?
As a healer, sometimes I feel tingling in my hands. Sometimes I feel the energy is dense. That there has to be flow when you feel the energy. There has to be flow in the energy. Sometimes it just your hand blocks like this. So you know where the blocks are, and you are trained to cleanse and replace it with clean energy. And I just love it. I love it. And I have no problem discussing this in a work environment, My colleagues really have fun with that. If anyone has a headache or anyone has an issue that they're dealing with, we discuss, we talk about the blockages, and we take care of it.
Again, it's so aligned with knowledge mindfulness, because through the lens of knowledge mindfulness, we look at information as an energy force too. Information, knowledge, they're all energy forces, and when you talk about blockage, we call it the knowledge scars that we have.
I love that.
It comes again from our old learnings, childhood, different situations where you were not heard, seen, or recognized somehow when you want to communicate that information. So you become hesitant, So how do you become aware of your knowledge scars? And then again, what are the barriers that you need to pay attention to? If you are aware of them, then you kind of focus on, removing them, and then the knowledge flows in ways that are. But going back to you just said something about different points that you talked about. One of them is what we call the spiritual intelligence. You call it the chakra. We call it, again, maybe the cognition, the awareness.
It's a third eye. It's a third eye.
Yes.
It's basically the third eye that is responsible for any decisions that you need to make, for decisions, awareness. If you want to not only communicate, but if you want to be aware, if you want to think clearly to be able to make the right decision, awaken your intuition. And sometimes when this is blocked, you feel like you cannot do anything. Literally, you can't even study, you cannot perform, you cannot be productive, you can't produce anything.
So if you have that fog that you're talking about, because we look at that fog as a result of the complexity of the world we're living in. Like you said, there's so much noise, there's so much confusion, there's so much fear and anxiety right now.
Yeah.
So what do you do about that? Even in the work environment, you were talking about headaches, these are all physical symptoms, right?
Yeah. I mean, in our work environment, and I work for a company that values culture as a strategy. And probably this is why I went back to the corporate world, corporate environment. It's because they appreciate this kind of thinking and this kind of knowledge and awareness. And in your book, I read something that I think it was a quote by
Peter Drucker,
that we eat culture for breakfast. In our company, we eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think this is where it's coming from. It's this space that you have to ask the questions when you need answers or when you need support. The ability to be vulnerable. And I think this is very important. The space to be vulnerable, the space to feel that you're listened to, that you're appreciated. We meditate every Monday in the morning. as a team. Yeah. People who've never meditated, they have the opportunity to understand what it means. We raise each other's frequencies. This whole concept of let's raise the frequency and the vibration of the company so that we can attract abundance. All of these concepts, I think, are important to be integrated into any corporate environment. And
it seems like they do have a kind of what we call the new leadership. That is more suited to today's world.
That's in tune and open, that you can have conversations without feeling judged. You can be yourself in that environment, Of course, I mean, there are challenges, obviously, but then there is that openness to discuss them freely, And I think that helps a lot with removing that fog, with removing that, addressing it in a very constructive way,
So you do feel a sense of belonging then?
Yes, absolutely.
A sense of community.
Absolutely, yeah. And the totality of that knowledge that you mentioned in your book and in your articles is that totality. And it's really interesting. I mean, I've always said to our boss, who's from England. I mean, he's British, but he's very in tune with his spirituality. He's very in touch, and I always say it. I mean, you have the ability to bring, and even our MD before him, she was able to bring the right kinds of people together, the right strengths together, working together as one team.
That's amazing. Yeah. It reminds me when I was thinking what to put on my titles, everyone was saying, oh, Chief Knowledge Officer. And I always thought the word officer comes from the old school military. Of command control, even of military, kind of command control officer,
True.
And I thought I opted for orchestrator. So, you're a knowledge, a chief knowledge orchestrator, because again, it's about how do you fine-tune all those different threads,
like
different personalities? Yes. What really resonates in my mind, that mindfulness focuses on silence, on going in, whereas knowledge mindfulness is about the synchronizing of music, of song. I think I read it one time. It's more like, when you have a flute and then the wind comes through and then the music and the harmony comes out.
Right.
And I just feel we need more of that beauty. So that brings me to the wellness again. Yeah. And what does wellness mean for you?
Wellness in my journey, my humble journey, is all about balance, I think. It's about being able to feel balanced physically, mentally, spiritually. The three of them have to come together. And in our health coaching school, we don't only look at food, of course, wellness. People, when you think wellness, you think food, nutrition, you think illness, disease. In our school, you think everything that comes with it, even your ability to be creative, even your learning. Like I love it. I love learning. If you feel like it just gives you that sense of purpose, sense of belonging to this world, sense of contribution. So all of this, I think, contributes to wellness.
I think it's funny when you say, you feel that sense of learning, because that's a natural need. I think we're born. If you look at children and you look how they are so curious, they are so, not really conscious about anything. They just want to explore, experiment. Hey, that's the child in us that we want to bring out to the world. Yeah. And you always wonder what happened to that child in us, during that journey. True. And how do we bring that child again
bring it back
there, right?
I mean, when I was doing the health coaching, I was like eating the books. When you want to sit and listening to one video after the other, and I want to do the exams and the quizzes. And I just signed up to another course a few days ago. It's a quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is something I've always wanted to do. And I was like, okay, this is the right time to do it now, And it just never ends. It never ends. So I think, it just gives you that sense of purpose again, like you really want to contribute. I mean, I think this is at the stage of one's life. What do you want to do? I mean, of course, you want to keep on, like you want to give, you want to contribute.
Yes. It's that sense of service that you're saying that you feel, again, it's time to do that.
Yeah.
But I just feel when you say it's the integration of all these pieces together, I think this is what knowledge mindfulness is all about. It is really about believing that each one of us has a piece of a puzzle. Because everyone thinks, I know it all.
Yeah.
This is, it's my way or the highway. That's where the conflict happens. And that's what we see in the world out there. And how we can shift that kind of thinking, that kind of learning, that kind of leadership, and how do we live in harmony again, starts with a very small step. And that is really understanding that your point of view is just a point of view. And my point of view is just a point of view. And how, as you said, not to take things personal, because you totally understand it's just the angle you're looking into to the world. And how that angle, as much as you think you're intelligent and you know it all, it's just that small, narrow angle. It brings us again to something very important. We don't have to try so hard. It's just being open to the right people. Definitely. Do you feel that in your work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Trying hard will lose the other you lose the other person. I think space is very important. And when people are ready for it, they will come.
When do you think people are ready for something? I mean, what triggers that readiness, in your opinion, with your experience and all that?
That's a very good question. Everyone has a different journey, of readiness. I think it all starts with you being interested, open to listen, I have colleagues who are really ready to listen, and they take, they consume the information, but then others, they probably need time. So I really don't know if I have an answer to that.
I think maybe, I don't know either. I mean, there's no one answer to that, but I feel sometimes some people kind of have to encounter, let's say, a big ordeal in their lives.
Probably.
For that to happen.
Yeah.
Some are born natural, curious.
Yeah.
They love to just, open up to what they can take in the world. So it's about really growth, development, that need for growth and development.
You're absolutely right. Actually, now you reminded me of situations at work, for example, if anything difficult happens, and of course, a lot of colleagues go through difficulties at work and outside work. You just need to guide them into, okay, what triggered that feeling, just to give them that understanding. What triggered it? What was the trigger? Why did it happen? And I think if they are open to that, then...
I think that resonates with me when my father got sick and he passed away. In many ways, that grief was kind of also a way to, rechannel that energy into something good.
Yes.
And I just feel sometimes we are put in situation and challenges to kind of expand our inner self in ways that sometimes it's so hard if you are in more stable times. The challenges, we always look at challenges as negative, but in many ways, I think challenges happen for a reason.
Definitely.
And
that's how you perceive them.
Exactly.
It's either you look at them as from a victim mindset, or an opportunity to grow. I mean, this had to happen, obviously. I mean, when it comes to death and to grief, it had to happen. But then and this is what actually, one of the things that happened to me when my mom passed away, everyone expected me to collapse into depression, and I didn't, and we were best friends. She was young. I mean, obviously it was a tragedy, but then I feel like she opened the door for something good to come out of this experience.
So I want to end with the start of your life. If you're a journalist right now,
oh wow,
and you are open to ask any question about knowledge mindfulness, what would that be?
Oh wow.
What are you curious about to know more? More than the book, more than
the articles that I read.
The articles.
No, actually, I was intrigued by what was the moment that actually, what was the aha moment for you to create that concept? Because in my head, when you did it, I was like, this should go viral. I mean, this could absolutely go everywhere. This should be taught in schools, universities. It should be this should be, I'm sure it will be your mission. But what triggered that,
like you started this conversation, I think it was the COVID days, that pause that we never had in our lives before, the pause that was global pause, that you never feel you're missing on anything. I was, like you read, of course, in the book, I was in Boston and I wanted to do the sabbatical and all that. So that pause gave me a lot of space to reflect on my career, on my life, on what if. There were so many what ifs. Those what ifs, that's what triggered everything. It was like, what if I couldn't go back? What if I couldn't work in my profession again? What if? What is all my knowledge going to be like? How am I going to use it in different contexts? And then I realized, oh my God, that was the aha moment that knowledge management is such a great field. For 20 years and still going now, but it's more suited to stable times. And when we are hit with turbulence, then you need more than the explicit knowledge, the organization of knowledge, the hubs and the portals and all that. Where's that tacit knowledge? Even the word management was a bit misplaced in turbulent times, that the mindfulness and knowledge mindfulness really came as awareness of the full spectrum of our knowledge and how we're missing on parts that could be so useful in our life, especially in unconventional times like this. This was really kind of the trigger that. And I still feel that it's so much helping me personally. Like you said, helping me personally is also about helping the people around me. I just felt the really knowledge mindfulness has given me so much clarity and so much energy that I cannot even explain, and that I need to give it also expand the circle. Expand that giving in many ways. This is what I feel where I stand today.
It's amazing. When I first learned about this and I started reading about it, you just gave a lot of, like, I don't know, you verified a lot of decisions that things that I've advocated in my life, and I just couldn't find the meaning behind. I just couldn't find the explanation for it. But, with that, now I know where to go, how to use it.
Any change management, either personal, professional, there's no difference between personal and professional. It's all integrated. We never thought that way, but it's all integrated. But again, if you're ever stuck, where do I start? Any change, because now we have foundational changes happening in our life. So the question is always, where do I start? You have a lot of advice out there. Oh, you need to be this. But then, where do I start? What if you have a framework that tells you, you know what, start here. And then take it wherever it takes you. Thank you so much, Ghalia.
This was amazing.
Thank you. Amazing. Dialogue.
So
I like to call it dialogue because we co-created a space that really gave so much meaning
it's an honor.
To your life and my life.
Thank you so much, Laila. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ghalia. I know this is just the start of
hopefully
a longer journey to come.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.